Hi there. So you probably heard about return on capital employed and use that probably in your investment decisions, but there's a much better metric you can use which is called IRR, internal rate of return. Now, a lot of people don't understand this at all, but it is incredibly important and incredibly useful. So I just want to illustrate it today. So it can be used to compare different types of investments. Should you put your money in project A, project B, which gives the better return? So obviously, if it's like a fixed interest, then it's obvious you put it in one with the highest interest rate, other things being equal, because it's better to get 5% return than 2%, etc. And also, if you put it in property, you might know, well, if you put 100,000 as a deposit for this property, you might think, well, in a year's time you can refurb it, flip it, whatever, and you get this much back. That's your return. But what happens when it gets a bit more complicated? Like you buy a property, you spend maybe 50,000 refurbing it, then you draw down, maybe you remortgage it in 6 months' time, then you might remortgage it in 2 years after that, and remortgage again 2 years after that, drawing down money all the time as property values rise, assuming they rise. And also you've got rental income, you've got mortgage interest, you've got voids, all these things, all these different cash flows going in and out. How on earth can you measure the return on capital employed for that? So this is where internal rate of return comes in, which is perfect because you can measure any cash flow in or out at any time in the future. And then basically what you do is you sort of discount it back to present values, and whatever interest rate you use as the discounted cash flow factor to get it back to present day value, and so all the flows in the future equal zero, discounted using discounted cash flow, then whatever rate you have to use to do that, that is the internal rate of return. So you can prove it might be better to flip a property than to hold it. And I'm just going to show you as an example. This was a calculation I did some time back. So this shows, so this property, the idea is I purchased it for 122,000 and spent 13,000 on refurbs. So in this example, this is if I flipped it. So this is what I assumed. So I buy it for that, 120,000. I get initially 79,000 mortgage. I pay 2,500 finder's fee, and then this is my mortgage per month, 315. I also have to pay 1,000 legal fees, and then also have to pay 13,000 on refurbs. So I basically sell it in 6 months, and then that gives me basically 75,000 in cash. So this doesn't look at tax at all. This just looks at the cash flows. But if I did that, then the internal rate of return so my flows are month 1, 46,000 out, then 13,000 out, then 305, then 75,000 in 6 months' time. So I use this formula there in Excel, IRR of these 5 flows, and that shows the internal rate of return per month, and then I can use another formula to annualize that. So basically that's like 99.3% return on my initial investment of 46,000. That's flipping it. Now supposing I was to hold it, because people often say, oh, never sell, always hold property. So this is exactly the same property, I do exactly the same thing, but instead of selling it at the end of 6 months, 5 or 6 months, what I do is I remortgage it, and then in this case I would assume so that 79,000 is paying the mortgage off, then I get 138,000 on when I remortgage it. That's my fee for remortgaging it, and then the new mortgage interest rate is higher at 575. My rental income stays the same as £800 a month, so I get after an allowance for voids and maintenance, I still get a small rental profit every month, But as you can see, this goes up over time, and every 2 years I refinance it again and draw some more money down. So that's buying and holding it, and as you can see, using the same formula, the internal rate of return per month is 2.4%, which annualized is 32%. So here I've got the two totals again. So in this example, I'm not saying this is always the case, but in this case, flipping it gave 99% return, and holding it gives 32% return. I mean, 32% return is still fantastic, of course, but flipping it gave 99%, and the reason for that is because I got all the money, all the profit back after only 6 months, whereas this a bit every now and again going forward into the future, and the time value of money, if it's sort of 4 or 5 years away, is worth a lot less than money in 6 months' time, using discounted cash flow techniques. Once you get your head around it, it's actually quite simple, and it is extremely important because it's a fantastic way you can just analyze any property strategy, and you can just make your money go a lot further, get a much higher return. And obviously I can help you with this sort of calculation. I used to use it professionally in my job as CFO for a company. We were involved in doing projects to build schools in Abu Dhabi, and we'd have to do big projections like this, business plans to work out the internal rate of return, and then that was used as a basis to get loans from banks and so on, funding to build the school. So please get in touch with me via my website, if you redboxfinancial.com, if you've got any questions about this, or if you would like me to help you with any internal rate of return calculation or anything else to do with accountancy or tax. That's all for now. Bye.